There is a fact that we veterinarians know very well. In dogs, it's usually the heart, and in cats, it's the kidneys that are the organs leading to death. Why are the kidneys so sensitive in cats? A single human kidney contains 1 million nephrons, or filters. In dogs, this number is 400,000, but in cats, it's only 200,000. Therefore, the cat's kidney is an organ that requires extreme care and should be a primary focus within preventive medicine. Cat owners also know very well that this is a major headache for us. Cystitis, in other words, bladder diseases. This is truly a big problem as well. It creates a lot of trouble, causes a huge workload in our clinics, and it's a long-lasting disease that is exhausting, frustrating, painful, and difficult to endure. Now, especially women have probably experienced cystitis at least once in their lives. Let me describe it this way, just to help you empathize. You can't urinate, and there's an intense burning sensation. The sympathetic system is the system that speeds up the body. It's the system that increases your heart rate, causes sweat to pour down your back, makes your hair stand on end when it's really strong, and creates that burning sensation in your stomach. And this system is constantly active in you because animals experience a lot of pain when they urinate. In fact, while both the general public and veterinarians expect a high incidence of stones in urinary stone cases, only 14% of bladder diseases actually involve stones. On the other hand, in any disease of the bladder, there is a very serious inflammation inside. So what is inflammation? When we bump our hand somewhere, it swells up. What comes through that area? The body's defense cells, cleansing fluids, and a whole bunch of active chemicals come to the area. And we call this inflammation. What does it do in that area? It causes a lot of processes like pain, swelling, and redness. Now, when these happen inside a sensitive organ like the bladder, they cause very severe pain, and urination decreases. Now, let's imagine the bladder as a balloon. It fills up, but the animal can't empty it comfortably. So where will the urine go? Since it can't get out, it will go back to where it came from. In other words, it will go to the kidneys, causing them to swell and impairing their function. So we shouldn't just see it as cystitis. It's not just about cystitis. At the same time, there's also the risk and potential for kidney damage. This risk is extremely high during this process. There's one more thing. When animals are quiet, they start avoiding the litter box because it hurts every time they go. After a while. And what happened to them? Urine starts to stagnate inside. There's an old saying from our ancestors. They say flowing water doesn't get dirty, but standing water does. In this case, inflammatory cells start to multiply inside the bladder. Those accumulations, those residues, can turn into a stone. They form a mass and things become unmanageable. So resolving cystitis very quickly in animals is extremely important. And here, our biggest problem is pain and inflammation. Now, Turkey is a very rich country. Especially in terms of medicinal plants, we have a very favorable environment, a truly significant treasure. Among these, basically, the one that is very unique to Turkey, very powerful, and maybe you've heard of it in herbal shops, is the Gilaburu fruit. It's a red fruit, a tree fruit. It's a good antioxidant and an effective remedy for passing kidney stones. That's how it's known among the public. It's exported abroad. Why? Don't they have it? Actually, in 9 places around the world, in places like Russia, the steppes, and South America. Even though it grows there, the one in Turkey has the strongest medicinal effects and metabolites. For human health, it's constantly exported abroad from our Kayseri region. At this point, as a local company, we chose to use such a local treasure. But as with every product, we first conducted extensive scientific research on cats and dogs, on cystitis and urinary stones, and on different types of urinary stones. This widespread effect was published in a high-impact scientific journal, and we saw that it was indeed very effective. Before this, cranberry was being used around the world. That fruit is far less effective than this. So what makes Gilaburu so beneficial? First of all, it's a very good pain reliever. When we give the animal Gilaburu extract, its pain is relieved, and as a result, urination and thus cleansing of the bladder begins. Secondly, it eliminates the inflammation inside the bladder, and the bladder starts to heal. On the other hand, if there are microbes, it has antimicrobial and antifungal properties. It's also a very good antioxidant. In other words, it has an effect of cleaning the rust from the cells. People, especially for urinary tract and kidney problems, now use it as part of conventional treatment, meaning it's included in prescriptions written by doctors, both abroad and in our country. We preferred to use this in the veterinary field. Of course, this was after our scientific publications. We added glucosamine, which is a building block of the bladder, to it. We added vitamin C to help recover from cystitis, and we also added psyllium. And we put this into a malt form, that is, as a paste. This was specifically designed to be used daily in cats that are prone to urinary stones and cystitis. It also contains a product that prevents hairball formation, which is actually the malt extract that most of us use daily. And when used daily, it seriously protects both kidney and bladder health. It is also extremely effective against calcium oxalate stones. In cats and dogs, there are actually two main types. Stones can form. One is calcium, oxalate stones, and the other is struvite stones. Their ratio is about half and half. Previously, there was no dissolving agent for struvite stones in the veterinary field. We developed Vesica Cure, the liquid form of our Gilaburu Paste. So the bladder can be washed, and we can also take it orally like a syrup. Then, let's give it to our animals. We use Vesica Cure during periods when there are serious stone and cystitis problems. In other situations, for our animals prone to cystitis, we use Urinary Cure. Vesica Cure is also the first substance in the veterinary field containing gluconodelta-lactone, GDL, which has the capacity to dissolve struvite stones. We added this as well. We added glucosamine and hyaluronic acid because the inside of the bladder is actually made of glucosamine and hyaluronic acid. So with this product, we target pain, inflammation, any microbial issues if present, and also the stones. By eliminating these, and with the other components we've added, we also supported the reconstruction of the bladder. That's what we aimed for. Therefore, in severe cases, Vesica Cure offers a very fast solution. Urinary Cure, on the other hand, supports the health of the bladder and kidneys for daily use and in animals at risk, serving as a preventive health measure.